name's Matt, and I'm the Managing Director of the International Echo Awards. And they are based in the US, but we have a partnership that we've just launched this year to run the Echo Asia Awards. And I'm going to talk about what we call data-inspired creativity. Now, a lot of what we heard this morning has been about the science of data. What we're going to try and do here is kind of free our minds a little bit and think about data in its most broadest sense, because we're going to talk about some of the trends that we've seen this year and some of the most award-winning work globally. And that's been one of the biggest trends that we've seen, is that data's being used in a big variety and quite an eclectic way at the moment. So, a bit about the International Echo Awards. Well, unless you don't understand what international means, they're global. And we take entries from over 28 different countries each year. And they're judged by over 400 people. And those 400 people come from 26 different countries. So we have hundreds and hundreds of entries coming in from all of those countries. So we're a pretty good kind of barometer and benchmark for what's going on globally in the kind of data-driven space. Now, our positioning is focused firmly around data-inspired, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about later on. And that's the most important aspect, really. So the Echoes used to be around direct mail back in the day. Then it would have been moved, focused on direct marketing, direct response, digital, anything with a D in it. We're onto data at the moment. But since we've launched our new positioning around data-inspired, we've seen a huge spike in interest globally for the Echo Awards. I mean, every year, the last 3 years, we're seeing more and more agencies enter. So this whole data thing at the moment is causing huge waves, and agencies in particular need this badge on their credentials in order to get more clients. They need to show their credentials in data. So although our positioning is around data-inspired, we actually judge each piece of work on its strategy, creativity, and results. So the whole package, it has to have worked. So some of the stuff that we're going to look at today, we're not really looking at what the latest trends are. We're looking at the stuff that's working for agencies and brands. So some of the things we might look at, you might say, well, I saw that a couple of years ago, but it's working now. And this probably indicates that it's about to go mainstream. And most importantly, I highlighted it earlier, we have embarked on an amazing partnership with DMA India, and we've launched the Echo Asia Award. So a huge thanks to the team. And it's been a huge success in our first year. And good luck to all of the finalists and the winners tonight. So, partly due to that relationship with DMA India, and partly just due to the great work that's taking place, I wanted to touch on some of the work we've seen from India, because it's a really positive story. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in a room in Mumbai. So 18 of the campaigns made the finalist list this year. So I'll put that into some perspective. Only the US and Canada have more campaigns than India in the finalist list. The finalist list is the top 5 in every category. So it's a massive achievement. You beat us Brits into 3rd place by 1. So that's a huge, huge achievement. So the quality of work we've seen is amazing. And it's broad. I spent some time trying to find some trends. And those 18 campaigns are actually set across 14 different categories. So there's one trend that I'll move on to in a moment, but it's there. It's across every sector. It's across every channel. There isn't one particular skill or discipline that India is excelling at, with the exception of point 3. There's usually a geographical area that kind of takes ownership of one category, and this year it was mobile for India. You kind of owned that this year. You got a lot of finalists in place. In the judging round 2 in New York, the judges came out of the mobile debate saying India, they own this space at the moment. So if there was an area, I think, where India is really excelling on the global stage, it's using mobile. Other trends that we've seen when I looked into this earlier in the week, so Canada kind of own the art direction at the moment. UK, we're doing really well in AI. The Americans are still masters of email, and I work for an American company. I know email rules my life. And then we delved into some of the scores. So every entry in the Echoes is scored on creativity, strategy, and results. So we've got over 400 judges judging up to 20 awards. So there's about 20,000 different scoring metrics in this. This is quite robust data. And when it comes to the creativity, India was kind of just below the global average. When it came to the results, it's more or less on par. But when we looked at the scores in strategy, there's a big jump. Now, quite a big jump. 6.7 to 7.1 doesn't sound that big, but in our scoring, it is. So what's clear is that entries from in India, in particular, we're not just talking about Asia, entries from India are outscoring other campaigns globally in their strategy considerably. Now, we go through this data every year, and we kind of highlight these stats, and our next step is to try and find out, because that's what's really interesting. If we get groups of people from around the globe sharing what's working elsewhere, and that shared knowledge is really, really valuable. And that's where we'll go to next. So we're going to try and find out what makes the strategists in India so successful, and why the judges, this is global judges from 26 different countries, rate the work so highly when it comes to strategy. So some trends that we've seen in data. Data has evolved, and by that, I mean it isn't necessarily seen at the end of the campaign. We're seeing it spark the campaign to life at the very beginning. Some of the most successful pieces of work we've seen this year, data's played a role in providing insight. So obviously the data analysts out there, I won't say data strategists, I think just strategists in general are really embracing the data that's available to them. So rather than just winning awards for sophisticated targeting techniques and personalization, agencies and clients are winning awards for using data to bring insights to life. And that's the key, that's the fuel behind everything else. So we're tending to find now that data is driving the creativity and the strategy. It's sophisticated and it's subtle. By that, I mean, well, it's clearly got a lot more sophisticated. We've seen that from the speakers this morning, and AI is driving that in particular. But when I say it's subtle, I think the end result is now quite subtle. So the consumer is blissfully unaware of all the hard work that's taking place to drive that communications to them. And it was mentioned earlier in the day, I think brands and agencies are now more aware than ever of turning consumers off with the kind of creepy, big brother, you know, I know who you are type targeting. It's now far more subtle. So the best data targeting now, the consumers are hardly even aware of it. It's just that relevant that it works, and it feels a little bit more organic than forced. We've seen a big jump this year in that kind of targeting. Is that me over already? So we're also seeing lots of data visualization, and we haven't really seen that before this year either. And brands are bringing data to life. And we've seen a handful of categories this year, but I think next year we're going to see a huge amount of data visualization being utilized by brands. And it's coming in from a huge variety of sources. Now, most of the awards entries are entered by agencies, and it's agencies that are having to use this data, and it's clear that they're now becoming very well equipped at taking data from different pockets and different sources and managing that and making it useful. So it's gone beyond addressable data, past purchase history. We're now looking at data from social sentiment. Jody was talking about the rage click earlier. You know, that's data. Agencies and clients are taking that data in from all of these different areas at the moment, and they're able to connect with it. And as a result, one of the clear pieces of feedback we had this year was that the campaigns, the data-driven campaigns, are now making more of an emotional connection, as opposed to just a logical connection, as in, you like this product, you are here, you know, this is a logical piece of communication for you. We're connecting with people emotionally. So we're going to have to move on quite quickly. The fun part. It says a lot about my life that this is fun, but here's what we're going to do. So we're going to invent an award today. So this whole kind of speech is around different data and celebrating data diversity, if you like, because it's not just about sophisticated targeting, and it's not just about personalization. It's about driving insights and all manner of other things. That was the key trend that we saw globally this year. So I didn't know what to talk about, and I came up with this idea yesterday. So we're going to pick an award. I'm going to run 3 case studies for you that represent this theme. Now, they've all made it to the finalist stage this year. So these aren't just campaigns that I've selected that I like for a reason. I'm going to show you 3 case study videos, and then you're going to work off that lunch that you've just had, and we're going to try and make it a little bit more interactive. So we're going to have an audience vote, and I want you all to choose what you like out of these 3 campaigns. So here's what we're going to do. I'll show you 3 campaigns. There'll be videos, some audience participation. I get it. Nobody really wants to stand up and shout what they like about a campaign, but there'll be the opportunity to do that. And if somebody's going to be a hero and stand up and say what they particularly like about a piece of work, we'll all love you for it, and I'll buy you a drink in the bar afterwards. Then we're going to have a vote. The original plan was to do a Twitter poll to try and amplify what we're doing. I think this is the post-lunch slot, so we're going to get everybody just to stand up and have a show of hands, just to get you off your seats. So, before you watch these 3 videos, you're going to need to bear in mind the criteria. So the criteria is the use of data in an innovative way that has had a positive impact on the strategy, creativity, or results of campaign. So that's the theme we've seen this year. Yeah, data doesn't have to be the starring role, but but data's making everything else better. It's often quite subtle and quite simple its use, but it's improving the creativity and it's improving the strategy. So we're looking for campaigns that aren't just about sophisticated targeting, use of data in a different way. I think that criteria will come to life when you see some of the videos. So case study 1, the family tree from the Sick Kids Foundation. Hopefully the video will just play.
Toronto area have a connection to Sick Kids Hospital, though they might not know how connected they really are. We wanted to bring the unifying impact of Sick Kids to life and turn these people into brand advocates and donors. The Sick Kids Family Tree was born. We launched on Family Day, a Canadian holiday that gives families the day off to be together. We use social networks to engage people one-on-one, so everyone could invite their families, friends, and followers to the tree. They could then track their unique branch in real time and watch their support network expand through a series of stunning data visualizations. The community got behind us and shared our message, and we gained valuable email data of potential donor leads. In 2 short months, we met our objective of replenishing our donor pipeline and have already surpassed our goal by more than 550%. But best of all, the Sick Kids Family Tree helped us unite thousands of people and prove that no family has to face childhood illness alone.
Isn't it great? So we'll play them all consecutively because I know we're going to run out of time. So here's campaign number 2, Blink to Speak. If you can play the video, please.
Suffering from fatal disorders like ALS, MNDs, and spinal cord injuries is the simple act of communication.
कितनी बार वो हमें कुछ बताना चाहते हैं but हम लोग वो समझ नहीं पाते.
For these patients and their families, the basic methods of communication are very tedious, and the high-tech assistive tools unaffordable. Eyes are the only part of their bodies that don't betray them till the very end. So we created Blink to Speak, the world's first eye language by Asha A. Cope Foundation and Noorajin Hospital. With 50 simple eye movements, patients can express all their needs and desires. The eye language has 8 alphabets. Using multiple easy combinations of these alphabets, patients can say, the biggest battle for patients suffering from fatal disorders like ALS, MNDs, and spinal cord injuries is the simple act of communication.
कितनी बार वो हमें कुछ बताना चाहते हैं but हम लोग वो समझ नहीं पाते.
For these patients and their families, the basic methods of communication are very tedious, and the high-tech assistive tools unaffordable. Eyes are the only part of their bodies that don't betray them till the very end. So we created Blink to Speak, the world's first eye language by Asha A. Cope Foundation and Noorajin Hospital. With 50 simple eye movements, patients can express all their needs and desires. The eye language has 8 alphabets. Using multiple easy combinations of these alphabets, patients can say,
So it was coming close to the end, and hopefully you get the gist of that one. It's an amazing campaign. And last one, case study 3, is SafeCap.
The profession with more deaths in Brazil is the truck driver. And big part of these deaths happens because they fall asleep while driving. In order to slow down the statistics, Ford Trucks introduces Ford SafeCap. A cap that doesn't let the truck drivers sleep at the wheel. We developed a research to form a basis of movements that allow us to identify which ones are related to the duties of the job and which ones mean lack of sleep. After mapping, we took our database to a software installed on the cap that identifies the sleep behaviors through an accelerometer and a gyroscope to alert the driver in 3 warnings: sound, light, and vibration.
Ele vai detectar esses movimentos de cabeça, provavelmente até numa fase antes do sono, nessa fase de vigília relaxada. Ele não está dormindo, mas ele já está ali com um tônus muscular relaxado. Então ele pode talvez prever um sono antes do caminhoneiro, do motorista estar dormindo realmente.
Ele vai dizer para você o seguinte: pare, descanse, né? Procure dar uma melhorada para depois sair.
The SafeCap was launched in October 2017 at the largest trade show of trucks in Latin America. And since then, it has been news around the world.
Clothing that can prevent falling asleep while driving. This is incredible.
Es una excelente idea. Se llama SafeCap y la
Улыбка будильника отслеживает движение головы, и водитель приходит.
Ford has just developed a trucker app.
На дорогах, и цесть причиняет до...
In the second half of 2018, SafeCap can be bought online and at Ford truck dealers. What before was a simple accessory turned into an item of security on the roads. Ford SafeCap.
I hope you'll all agree they're great campaigns, and honestly, if there was a thing we saw this year, that's where it's at. The skill is in just taking that enormous amount of data that's around and taking what's useful and doing something creative with it. Letting it kind of break free of the stereotypes of just targeting and just personalization. It's driving insights and it's driving creativity. So let's try and work off a little bit of that lunch and try and find a winner. We are going to give an award out, by the way. It's our event in Las Vegas next week, and we have an ECHA award, and we're going to present it. So this is a real thing. This isn't just a thing to try and get you off your seats. Maybe it could do it every year, and we can present the winner the week after in the US. So just think about those 3 case studies. Think about data being used in a different way, in an innovative way, and the key thing is data doesn't need to be the star of the show. Data used correctly just makes everything else a bit better. Don't treat it in a siloed way. So first of all, we saw the family tree. So we're just going to, if you liked family tree and you thought that represents this criteria, I want you to stand up, please. And I'm going to try and make a rough count. Wow, got to be quick counter. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, I don't expect everybody to want to talk to the audience about what they like, but if you have something, just a 10-second comment that you'd like to say about this, stay standing, and you can tell the rest of the audience, because this is the beauty of the judging and the debating, that you learn from other people about what they liked. Excellent. We have 2. Can you just give us a quick sentence about what you particularly liked on this campaign? Oh, sorry, do we have the roaming mic?
Ramesh Iyengar. I think in 10 seconds what I can say is we strive in this business to work on relationships, and relationships has an ethos, an emotion. Data translated that. So I think it's brilliant for that reason.
Everything Ramesh said, and just one more thing. I think the way they were able to use the data they were gathering for future life saving, which is the promise I saw at the end of that tunnel, was really what did it for me for sick kids.
Thank you. So the second one was Blink to Speak, which is a really innovative use of data. That the book is data, right? If you think Blink to Speak should get the award, please up off your seats. And I've got a good idea of how many numbers were in the last one. Okay. And unless you have something to say about it, take your seats again. And if you want to say something about Blink to Speak and share it with the audience, that'd be great. Do you mind if we...
Yeah, hi. Umesh here, Umesh Jhavar. Well, I see a very, very positive impact if you can have a patient who is unable to speak and can communicate properly without any, costly devices or any method. I think this is very brilliant, and it has to be communicated to all the world. So that's the reason I would say it's the best. Thank you.
Thanks. It's great, isn't it? So, just one more. We're running over, but we've got a bit of time.
Praveen Rao from Senshare. Just 10 seconds again. When creativity and technology is linked to purpose, it has a far-reaching effect. The second case was all about that. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. And the last campaign was SafeCap for Ford trucks, if you remember that one. If you think that should win our award for different use of data, please stand up. Oh, see. Okay. So unless you've got something burning you want to say about it, you can sit down. I think our clear winner is the first one, Family Tree. So that was run by Cassette, a Canadian agency. And you'd like to say something about it?
Yeah, what I liked particularly was a delivery device, very scalable, very portable. They didn't do the data analytics and put it in a very hard infrastructure. It's very expensive to kind of scale up. They put it in a cap, so I can really visualize all drivers using it. So scalable commercial innovation, I would say.
Great. Well, thank you all for bearing with me, and thanks for staying awake after such a lovely lunch. I fly home tonight, and I'm going to miss Indian food a lot. You know, back in the UK, everything's going to taste like cardboard after being here for a week. So I'm going to present Cassette, the Canadian agency, with an award based on that criteria. And who knows, maybe next year I can plan it more in advance than 24 hours, and we can make this a regular thing. But I think the one thing that we need to take away from the Echo Awards globally is don't treat data as in a siloed way. You know, it integrates with everything else. It's actually driving everything else. I remember when digital agencies stopped calling themselves digital because they said, well, everything's digital, it's weird. Data agencies are going to stop calling themselves data agencies because it will just be like, well, everything's data. It's just weird to say that's what we do. I think that will happen in a year or two. Thanks very much for listening.